They give you a handbook your first week on the North Rim, a brick of laminated protocols, and cheerful photos of tourists smiling at overlooks. It tells you where to hang your hat and when to smile for dignitaries, but not why the radio goes dead and the birch switchbacks at 2:17 a.m. It doesn't mention the rules that keep you breathing. Those aren't in print. We whisper them on the tower steps, knee to knee, coffee steaming between our hands, eyes on the treeline. I wore this patch for 12 years, and every year another page from the secret handbook burned into me, usually the hard way. If you're hearing me now, I'm going to give them to you straight, because one of you is going to break one, and if you do, you don't go home. Rule 1. After dark, never answer your name unless you see the lips that said it. Radios click, trees throw voices, and the canyon loves to rehearse you back to itself. New rangers laugh until someone they trust calls from 10 yards away while their silhouette is still beside you. I lost Gabe like that on my third winter. He turned when he shouldn't have, and the woods were suddenly all mouth. Rule 2. If the forest stops, you stop lower. Birds, wind, insects, if they cut out like a switch, crouch and cover your ears, count to 60, and breathe through your sleeve. It isn't just about not being seen. There's a pressure that rolls through the pines like a held note, and if you're upright when it hits, it feels for the hinge between your ribs. I've watched elk drop to their knees before the hush arrived. I learned to follow their lead. Rule 3. Do not cross to meet a lantern you did not light. We get pranksters, sure, but we don't get gas lamps swinging over Starling Creek. And we sure as hell don't get a cabin where the survey maps say rock slide. Those lights take paths your boots can't, and they make you hurry without running, the way you hurry when you're late to church. If you follow them, you will hear someone scrubbing pots just out of sight, and then you'll smell lie, and then you'll forget why you came. Rule 4. Lock gate C at 9:17, not 9 o'clock, and not 9:30. It sounds petty until you hear the chain sing at 9:23 like someone humming through their teeth. We learned that after Quinn took a late smoke and watched the padlock float level with his eyes, Link stretched straight as a ruler, not touching a thing. He didn't come back right, and a month later he left a note on the break room microwave that just said 9:17 or never. Rule 5. The mile 13 marker is a liar after midnight. Daylight, it faces the road. After dark, it faces you. If you need to pass it, walk with your back to the sign and your eyes on your boots, and do not, under any reason, let it be the last thing you see before a bend. I broke that one once, and I had to cut my own name out of a tree to leave. You want to know when I first understood the rules were older than my badge? It was the night the Perseides were spilling over the basin, and tourists were camped wall to wall in the meadow like a crashed galaxy. I was solo rover, midnight to 6, checking cook fires and shooing kids back from ledges. A call came through at 1:08, female voice, soft. Are you awake, Ranger Hale? It wasn't our dispatch cadence, but the channel light was green, and I answered because answering is what you do when your park is your child. She said she was at the old CCC footbridge by the waterfall, that her friend had fallen, that she couldn't climb out. I made the mistake of asking her name. She said mine. The bridge is 1.25 miles from the tower. I covered it in 9 minutes and change, lungs burning in the spruce shade. The waterfall was a ghost in the dark, throwing cold on everything, roaring itself quiet. That's when I realized I'd run into silence. I dropped, sleeve over mouth, counted, and the pressure slid past, prying at the air like fingers under wallpaper. When it went, the radio hissed, and something started scrubbing a pot just past the footbridge. I didn't look. I recited the first 5 rules like prayers and spoke to my boots. That's another thing they don't tell you. Rules work better when you say them out loud. Halfway back to the tower, Quinn crackled in with a whisper of chain and a laugh that wasn't his. He said, Gate C is singing, you late fool. And I checked my watch and saw 9:19 as if the night had put there to shame me. But it was past 1, and I was nowhere near the gate, and the watch blinked back to 1:19 as if embarrassed. I didn't answer him. I've learned not to answer when the night pretends to be your shift lead. Rule 6. Never let a lost child walk behind you to keep up. If you find a kid after hours, you carry them, or you make them hold your belt, and you check every 10 seconds that their hand is there. Do not accept dimpled smiles, and "I'm okay, mister" from something you didn't see approach. Once, a 7-year-old in a blue hoodie appeared at my elbow by Picnic 4. I checked his tag. No name, just a cartoon bear. He asked if he could walk behind so he wouldn't trip. I laughed and said sure, because I was human and stupid in the same beat. By the next turn, there was dew on my neck like breath, and when I looked back, handprints marked us, but no boy at all. Rule 7. Running water resets a night that has noticed you. Cross a creek, and you're on a clock the dark can't keep. But it's 1 reset per bridge per night. If you take the same span twice before sunrise, you go where the bridge goes while it's empty, and I cannot fetch you from there. Do not look into the water when you cross, either. Your reflection will try to keep your eyes, and if it holds them to the far bank, the park learns your gait and starts walking ahead of you. We learned that from Gabe's boot prints, the way they sometimes showed up facing us from the wrong direction on mornings after rain, as if he had walked home from a place that was never behind him. The creek is your ally, but like every ally after dark, it must be treated like a door you close behind you and never reopen. Once, winter shoulder season, I had a geologist from out of state who wandered off Road Cut 6 to find a porphyry seam. Her name was Elsie. She left a tea bag in her Nalgene and a note for her partner that made them laugh at breakfast, then forgot to uncrumple it before she stepped into the trees. By midnight, her headlamp was a star low in the timber north of Starling Creek, and the canyons were practicing her name. I took the west forward because the bridge was already counting people who weren't there. On the first crossing, the noise dropped out from the world like someone lifted the needle from a record. I crouched, sleeve to face, counted to 60, and felt the pressure mash my eardrums as it rolled past. When the sound returned, so did the river, and on the far bank, I found 2 sets of prints. Elsie's deep and erratic, and mine, light and perfect, already ahead of me in the snow. I didn't look at the water when I crossed back. I cut across, downstream, and took the second ford instead. A reset is a gift. 2 is a debt. Rule 8. Do not climb above the 3rd landing of the fire tower after 3:03 a.m. That's the hour the numbers start to count you back. You will see your breath curl and hang on the landing like a ribbon tied to nobody. The paint tells you how old the tower is, but the scuffs on that 3rd flight tell you how many we have brought down in a hurry. Past that landing, the stairs aren't ours. Your radio will carry someone else's dispatch cadence. A list of fires that never burned and names of rangers who retired before you were born. We leave the tower to the watcher at that time. We don't look up to wave. The night I learned why, I wasn't looking to learn. A monsoon stalled over the basin, the kind that puts teeth in the rain and slides whole slopes an inch while you watch. We had a group of grad students camped under Ponderosa, and one, Elsie's partner, thought a lightning shot from the tower might look like a thesis. My rookie that year was Addison, 18 months on, quick with visitors but stubborn with the dark. We brought them down before the cell, led the ridge, tents sagging, whispers in the trees, testing the edges of the wind. At 2:54, the tower lights hiccuped twice and went dim as a pulled plug. Addison thought we could beat 3:03 and get a bar of cell from the cab. We took the first flight slow and the second faster. On the 3rd landing, the steps didn't match our feet anymore. The count on the risers was wrong by 1, and the handrail was warm like someone had just slid down it through us. My breath hung in front of me and didn't drift. The radio popped. "Are you awake, Ranger Hale?" It was my voice asking. Addison smiled, that tired night smile that says, "See, it's just a trick our heads play." She put her boot on the next tread up. That's when the chain down at gate C sang through the rain, a long toothy hum that has no business that high in a storm. I put my palm on her shoulder and said the words we all hate to hear and know are right. "We stop here." She rolled her eyes like a kid told no dessert and lifted her foot another inch. The step wasn't there. I watched her calf and boot move through air that should have been wood. There was a splash without water. Below us, 3 landings down, something set a lantern on the concrete and hissed with the cook's impatience. "Are you awake?" It asked again from all directions like a round starting in our chests. Rule 9. If the park offers you a bargain, reply, "I am on duty," and name the rule you are keeping. Do not negotiate. It will always begin with something you want back. Your partner's laugh, your mother's ring, The rookie stacking cups in the break room and not complaining about the smell of wet wool. It will end with you owing a path to someplace it likes, and it likes you too much to show mercy once you're there. We learn to build our refusals like fences, clear, dull, and high enough we don't trip on them when we're tired. That's what I did on the third landing when the stair agreed to forget how to be a stair. The bargain came in easy. A child's voice from below, a woman's voice on channel 2, a metal squeal like a ranger's key engaging a padlock at 9:17, even though it was after 3. The tower promised me a shortcut, just one step up for a better line of sight, so I could call the all clear and let the campers sleep. Addison kept her boot hovering. I kept my hand on her shoulder and said, "I'm on duty. Rule 8 holds." We drop. I moved us both down one step together like hauling a friend out of a river. The stair under her foot came back as if embarrassed for the trick. The lantern hissed and slid away. On the landing, my breath finally drifted and broke like ordinary fog. We took the long way to the knob, where the radio works without permission. The rain braided into ropes. The mile 13 marker on the service road turned to face us and then pretended it hadn't. I kept my eyes on my boots and made Addison hold my belt so I could count her hand every 10 seconds. When we reached the overlook that holds a bar, the radio woke up fully, and dispatch that sounded like our dispatch told us Elsie was curled under a ledge beside the creek, hypothermic, but laughing at the tea she'd forgotten to drink. I nearly answered. I nearly said our position. Instead, I said the dull words again, low as a prayer. "I am on duty. Rule 1 holds. No answer without lips." That choice didn't give me Addison back when she decided to be young and invincible at 4:02. We skirted the overlook glass because the park loves to see itself in you, and she leaned too close to check the flood below. She said, "Are you awake?" to the canyon like she was teasing it. The canyon answered without sound. When I looked, her reflection blinked and her body didn't. The glass threw 2 moons for a second, and then mine was alone. I found her 10 minutes later 10 feet down the slope with pine needles in her hair, mad at herself and limping, but still ours. We went home that dawn dirty and alive, and for a week I let myself think we'd outstubborn the night. We hadn't. A month later, on a blue sky noon you would sell as proof the world is simple, Addison walked out to Lockgate C for a maintenance window and did it at 9 o'clock on the dot, because that's what the memo said. The chain sang at 9:23 while she was still signing the clipboard in the kiosk, and when she came back her badge had her picture, but not her eyes. She worked 3 more shifts, and then she came in with a new watch that had no digits, just a single red hand that pointed to nothing you could name. She said she had trouble sleeping. On her last night, she called me at 1:08 and asked in my voice if I was awake. And by dawn her apartment had both doors locked from the inside and her boots neatly paired beside a puddle that hadn't evaporated by noon. We don't write these kinds of losses in the incident log. We write transfer and make the locker neat. So here are your 9. For anyone the handbook forgot to warn. Don't answer your name without lips. When the forest stops, you stop lower. Don't cross to meet a lantern you didn't light. Lockgate C at 9:17 or not at all. Don't let mile 13 be the last thing you see before a bend. Don't let a child trail you behind your back. Use running water once and only once, and never meet your own eyes in it. Leave the tower past the 3rd landing to the watcher after 3:03. If a bargain comes, fence it with duty and a rule, not a promise. If you're on my patch one night and the radio whispers at 1:08, if the chain hums or the pot scrubs or the mile marker wants to turn to face you, I want you to hear my voice in your sleeve like a hand on your shoulder. Say it with me. I am on duty. Rule holds. Walk on. If the night loves you too much to let you go, back to water and start over. And if the water offers you your face, take your shadow instead. The park takes what it's owed, but it respects a ranger who pays the right debts at the right doors. I wore this patch for 12 years. I walk home most of them. The ones I didn't, I spend here making sure you do.